What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Hello, everyone. Are you singing?
No, I was just saying recording started because it popped up on my screen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the F1 Underground podcast. As always, brand new podcast from the Underground Network, focusing on all things Formula One. I'm Casey. That's Owen. Today, we're going to take some time to talk about, most of the time, to talk about the chaos of the Australian Grand Prix.
Of this morning's race.
Yes, the longest 3-hour race ever. Maybe try and figure out what exactly happened. And then we're going to end with a fun topic of comparing F1 teams to NHL teams, inspired by that Reddit thread that compared NFL teams to F1 teams. So, without further ado, I did have a meme of the week. I can bring.
Yeah, wasn't it? You made it. Yeah, you made the meme of the week. Yes, get the self plug in there.
Yeah, because I wanted it to blow up, and it didn't actually blow up. But there was a clip of Yuki. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I can't remember exactly which day it was.
It was Friday.
He was going to meet fans during the Melbourne walk, and he couldn't get to them, so there was a barrier in the way. He just looked at the barrier, hopped over, signed some stuff, and then
hops the fence. Yeah.
But yeah, no effort, literally just hopped. So I took it and then added in the Mario jump sound.
It was his nature of his jump, because he didn't put his hands down and swing his legs over to the side. He literally wide gripped it and vaulted it and just put his legs in between his arms, and he looked like a frog on top of it.
He looked like a frog.
I was almost going to text you and say, the Mario sound is good. You should also do the Frogger.
That would be
the
good. Sound
from when he would jump into the next lane or whatever it was. I was like, that would be a good one too.
When he looked like a frog, and then there was a picture. Someone tweeted it. I think AlphaTauri tweeted it of him on the side. He looks like he's levitating. He literally looks like his heels are touching.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have his hands down, it looked like if he should be like this, because he's meditating or floating in air, but like a genie or something. But if I did do the Mario theme, I could have also, there was other ones, I could have done he was playing Leapfrog. If I could find the other drivers.
You could do Leapfrog. You could do. There's so many. My favorite part of it was this is a bad comparison, situational wise, but when something bad happens on the news, and then it's you start getting all the different angles of it, of here's the first video, and then here's a different angle. There was the first angle of him behind, and it was you see him hop over, and you're like, oh wow, and that's when the video started surfacing, and then it's here's an angle from the front, and you can see him jumping over, and I'm like, this is golden.
And then there was the picture. I wish there was I know fans right there were recording. I need their point of views in their comments, because they were probably what? But it's also the fact the outfit he was wearing. He was rocking hot pink pants.
Yeah, it was a good outfit, and he just decided to pull that off.
Did you also see the video? I don't know who he was. They posted it yesterday. They had this man dressed super nice. He definitely was Australian, greeting the drivers and team principals as they were coming in, but kind of roasting them at the same time.
That's good.
It's so good. I forget what they exactly say to Toto, but Toto gets so confused. He turns around and goes back and be like, "Wait, what did you say?" Yeah, it's a funny video. You have to go back and watch it.
I have my meme of the week, actually.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. You've seen it. It's the short clip of Daniel Ricciardo sitting on the Red Bull wall.
Oh, yes.
And turning and just getting this big old smile on his face. Yeah. And I was so happy, because in the recap that I watched today, the 30-minute race recap, they show that clip. And I was like, that's just great. Just to throw him in there for an appearance. But I was like, it fits the chaotic nature of the race and everything. So I was like, that was good. I think that would be, I'm calling it $5 right now. That picture is going to be used if McLaren ever has more crappy races. It's just going to be that picture of
100%.
Yeah, of Daniel sitting there with that
the
big
smile
smile
that-
on his face.
Yeah, the smile is kind of like it's like a shit-eating green. Like, he knows. Like,
And it slowly happens too. It's not like he like turned, saw the camera, was like,
no.
"Hey guys!" Like he was like
It
turned, saw the
slowly
camera,
grew.
and he was just like, "Haha, hey!"
Yeah.
Like,
What is that? The Cheshire cat? Is that how you say it? That's what he looks
yes, that's a great comparison. Oh, we should post that on Twitter. I'm gonna do
I will.
that.
You're gonna make it right now.
I'm gonna go find a picture right now.
How do you spell Cheshire cat? Let's have a spelling contest.
Cheshire, Cheshire.
I'm gonna hold you to it. Hold for time.
That is how you, well, okay, so that's how you spell it for the town in Liverpool or Manchester.
But like the cat from Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, that is what I need. Cheshire.
Yeah.
Cat.
There was also another meme.
That is also how you spell the Cheshire cat, so I'm
Okay.
correct.
That's why in that video I made today with like all the different pictures and like other memes that were going around,
That was a good
there
one.
was that one of him smiling too, because I was like, he's just.
Yeah.
It was nice seeing Daniel Ricciardo back on the grid. I have to say, it was nice.
I did enjoy seeing him.
Yeah, and I liked how literally like everyone was. What are you laughing at?
I pulled up Twitter. No, I pulled up Twitter and I scrolled. I think I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tweets down. Picture of Yuki Tsunoda jumping the fence. And it's AlphaTauri actually posted it March 31st, and they said Yuki on his way to another P11.
Yeah, and then he ended P11.
Yeah, because they quoted it 5 hours ago and they said,
Mhm.
"You all thought we jinxed it." That's good.
Yeah, no, that's a good meme. You make that meme and tweet it from the Twitter.
That's
Daniel Ricciardo and Cheshire Cat. But I mean, I also have down the race itself was literally a meme. There was a lot. So
the race itself wasn't me. I mean,
that's a good segue into the.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to like talk about because, like I said,
that's why I literally woke up and I was like, that literally happened. Like,
what did you just drop?
My iPad fell off my lap.
Yeah, what is it? I didn't get the chance to watch the race. All I watched was the 30-minute recap this morning and everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, you started watching the full race, and then I
started watching the race. Yes, I didn't realize that it was a 3-hour race, and I was like, all right, this is weird. So I watched the 30-minute recap, and it did a really good job of covering everything. But it was just insane. Like, there's like so many things happen. You have Leclerc right off the rip getting knocked out.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, we'll get to that. Let's do Let's
Go
do
ahead.
the normal stuff first. So let's do, obviously, the winners. Verstappen, P1, Hamilton, P2, and Alonso, P3. That's a lot of world champions together on the, what's it called? The podium.
Yes, it is.
Driver of the day and fastest lap was Perez, which, honestly, Perez killed it. He went from starting in the pit lane to P5 at the end, after having an awful Saturday.
His qualifying was not good.
No,
and
his FP3 wasn't even good.
His FP3 was horrible. But yeah, I like I said, when I woke up in the morning, I stupidly went right to Twitter. And I saw that he had won the race, or not won the race. He had gotten driver of the day. And I was like, oh, so I'm like, he had a good drive then. Like, that's good. And so when I was watching the recap, I made sure to keep an eye on like where he was in the race and everything. And the way that they do the recap is like, they don't tell you, like their cuts in the editing style are really well done. So like, you don't really tell when like you go to a new lap. So like you have to look in the corner because like at one point I was on like lap 12 of 58, and then it showed a different shot, and I looked again. And I was like, oh, I'm on lap 17 now. Like, and I just
video job of that because it only does like what happened in crazy laps, so it'll like saying what lap.
So which F1 TV should adopt. But I literally like Checo's name was just like boom, 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 like climbing up the leaderboard, and I was like, this is a good race from him.
Well, he was in the points. I forget. I tweeted he was in the points, like not even halfway through, not even like a quarter of the.
There was one shot too, and it really, like, obviously when you're watching the race, you know the cars are going really fast, but when you're watching it on TV, you don't get a sense of like how fast really they are going. And there's when Perez overtook Piastri, I think it's on that long, I think it's turn 9. It's like just like a long,
It's a nice turn,
gradual turn and everything. Checo gets right behind him, opens up DRS, and he just blows right by him, blows right by Piastri, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, holy crap, he is moving. Like
Verstappen and Perez, anytime they overtook, like, it literally looks like they had their eyes closed. Like, there was no defense from the people behind them or in front of them. They just literally like, excuse me, like, let me turn my blinkers on and get in front of you.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, that he just cruised right around Piastri, and I was like, they are moving. But yeah, I was really happy with it. I'm also really happy that I got my fastest lap prediction right.
Yeah, I just looked it up. So you said Perez was gonna get fastest lap.
I said Checo because I thought he was gonna come back with a vengeance from I can't think of the last Grand Prix.
Saudi Arabia,
thank you. Yeah.
No, and then I looked it up. So the record was beaten. Perez has the record.
Nice, yes.
Because Leclerc went 120.260 and Perez went 120.235.
Yeah, did they update that yet on the website?
I'm sure.
Schedule.
I didn't look.
Let's see. Australia circuit. Here you go. That's what it's on.
Yeah, it's on that circuit.
Yeah, lap record 120.235. Sergio Perez, 2023. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. But he had a really good race, Perez.
He did. I almost picked him as my driver of the day, but I didn't because I didn't want to be too obvious. But I picked Lando Norris, as my driver of the day.
Yeah.
The longest time Perez was held back was when Lando Norris was in front of him.
Oh.
And Lando Norris was literally, when Perez finally got close enough, he was driving so well, like, to keep Perez behind him, like, wouldn't. So yeah, but then finally, obviously, the McLaren's not as fast as Red Bull, so
yeah,
Perez did overtake him, but that was probably the hardest overtake that Perez had to make. So I was like, you go, Lando Norris, and they both ended in points, McLaren.
Yeah, should we give them a little like round of applause?
Yeah, we should.
Ending in the points.
On Oscar Piastri's home race, yeah.
In the points when half the grid gets wiped out. So
yes.
Little star, their asterisk there at the end of that sentence, but still in the points. They still have points on the board, which is
points
nice.
On the board, yeah. And then, did you have a driver today or no? Because you didn't really watch too much.
No, unfortunately, I think I said my driver of the day was going to be Charles Leclerc. And if I remember correctly, I think that's what I said. And of course, obviously, we all know, second turn, he got clipped by Lance Stroll and went into the gravel. Which was only just the start of the antics of the race.
Oh my God, it literally, I was looking down and I looked up and he's just going off. And I was like, I said no out loud. I literally said no. And then I texted you and I said, I'm going to fucking cry.
Yep. Honestly, when I saw it this morning, I was like, my first instinct was, please be Carlos Sainz. Like,
yeah,
because I just thought, and I was like, I know Leclerc dying to get points and dying to finish. And then all of a sudden you hear the announcers were like, oh, there goes Leclerc in the background into the gravel. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. And literally, like, people I saw on Twitter, and I also thought of it, like, unless he said he did have damage. So if he knew he had bad damage and he went through the gravel, so if he would have changed tires and be P20 regardless. So, like, he literally just said, that's it. But I was like,
yeah,
he couldn't have just turned, or did he just give up? There was no coming back.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is he gets on the radio, like, right after it happened, and the first thing he says is like, that's it. Sorry, guys.
That's all he said. I had his cam up on my computer.
Yeah.
And that's literally the only thing he said on the radio. He was like, that's it. And then
that's it.
He got out of the car, and then the stream went out for him. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not keeping this up anymore.
Yeah, but very, very unfortunate.
He clearly has 6 points. He literally is tied with Nico Hülkenberg in points right now. And it's his worst start to a season ever.
Hülkenberg.
No, we'll get to him. We'll get to him. I'm surprised he's not your driver of the day, even though you didn't want.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, the worst start to a season ever. Obviously, clearly there was a DNF in Bahrain, and then the grid penalty to P7 in Jeddah, and then literally 2 turns into the gravel.
Yeah.
Did you see the tweet? I saw the tweet. I liked it this morning, but I saw it originally. This fan flew from, I don't know, he must live, I think he lives in a country that there isn't, but that was probably the closest race he could get to, literally just for Charles Leclerc. And people were like, he literally lasted 3 turns. Yeah, people were like,
that's so upsetting, but like,
yes.
I want to be like, oh, you have to know that as a fan, like that could happen. But like, you don't want to see it happen. Like,
oh no, you obviously don't want to see it happen. I swear I liked it, but I've liked a lot of tweets since the race ended and last night because there was a lot going on.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Did you stay up and watch the whole race?
I watched the whole thing.
At
went to bed at 4 a.m.
Okay.
The race started at 1.
I want to give a shout out to Top
Australian
Tomato
fans?
Australian fans, but Top Tomato in Philadelphia.
They have it on?
We were there. We were leaving at 12:55, and all of a sudden you see one of the TVs pop on, and it's just a big F1 logo. And I was like, they're playing the race. I like pointed. I was like, Ange, look. I was like,
oh my
race. But we were literally like walking down the steps to
walking.
leave, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, they're playing the race in here, and I like thought about it, and I was like, wow, that's really rare. And then I was like, also good on them though for knowing that F1's gotten so much larger in the States and is like, we're gonna toss it on because there's still people there at 1 a.m. Like, I was like, that's really
cool. By the time the race ended. Yeah, I've seen people that like have, obviously in Europe they I think play it pretty regularly, but I have seen people in America that have gone to bars now and watched it like as a sporting event with friends. That would be, you do for a football game. Like,
I would love if we had like a night race, maybe like Miami. Actually, Miami might be a good one. Well, no, Miami's in the morning, right?
Yeah, but and then even Miami's normal time. I think like 2 p.m. for us, but
maybe
even do Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, that starts 1 a.m. for us, 10 p.m. for them.
Oh, that's right.
It's literally that's what I can't wait because like the European, I'm gonna get in trouble. The European fans were complaining that they had to get up so early.
Yeah.
And people are literally like, that's normal. The Americans have to get up between 6 and 8 for every other race.
Every race, yeah.
Australia's getting up in the middle of the night every other race. Like, I was like, that's why when Vegas comes around and they're complaining, I can't wait for them to realize that half America is also watching in the middle of the night. So
also doing the same thing. But yeah, that was wow. Well, props for you for watching for the whole thing.
Yeah, I stayed up for the whole thing. I literally at one point I was falling asleep. I think during that chunk that there was nothing, and then all of a sudden something happened, and I was like, I snapped awake. But the last 2-3 laps, I was
15
wide awake.
laps were pretty wild in terms of, you're getting close to the end of the race, so you're getting more excited, and then obviously the whole shit, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, no, but I think Max literally pulled into the, what's it called, like where he parked his car, and I literally turned it off. I was like, I'm not watching that podium.
Yeah, no, go to bed.
I watched but so back to Leclerc. So someone tweeted, I don't know if you've seen the meme. It looks like he took a B-reel or a picture Leclerc of him in the, like, with the front-facing camera, and it's one of those questions like on Twitter, and it says, how do you manage to stay so positive? And like, it's like he responded and says delusion. But because someone tweeted that with a screenshot, Verstappen had 2 DNFs in the same races as Charles and won the 2022 title. So in conclusion, Charles is winning the 2023 season. Like, it's not over, but it feels like it's over. It feels like it's over, but it's not.
Like the thing I saw the other day where it was like, after the Phillies home opener and they lost.
Oh yeah.
Somebody put a tweet out and they were like, 2008 Phillies at this point in the season, 0-1, and it was like 2023 Phillies at this point in the season, 0-1. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's literally, I saw the tweet and I was like, yeah, let's go. I was like, come on. I was like, I always forgot how shitty Max's season started last season.
Yeah.
And then it turned around, so fingers crossed. There's only so much heartbreak I can take. But going back, before we get into the real chaos of the 3 red flags, it came out right before Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez both started from the pit lane.
Yes, yeah.
Due to changing power unit components without approval from the FIA. I guess because they did it so last minute. But Checo, they changed a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he had that shitty FP3, then
yeah, and then I think
they're going to switch up a lot.
One of them's the last one available, so when he takes the next one, he'll have to take a grid penalty, but that's not stopping them. But
I forget where I heard it from. I had somehow heard before the race started that Checo was going to be starting from the pit lane. I think it was on Twitter or something. I saw it. I had no idea that Bottas, though, was starting from the pit lane. So when I watched the recap this morning, I was like, why are there 2 cars in the pit lane? And then I saw that they'd switched out the power unit as well without the approval. And I was like, that's interesting.
I mean, it is a Ferrari-powered engine, so
yeah,
not a shocker that
doesn't bode well for confidence.
No. But yes, okay. I don't even know where to begin. The pure chaos.
I think the best way to do it is just rip down our list. We got to give some sort of timeline and.
So yes, obviously, race starts. Well, I'm gonna jump down because I have it noted at the bottom. Max Verstappen, his reaction times. I need to see the actual reaction times, but his starts weren't very good, and that's strange for him.
That's how Russell was able to jump out, ahead of him
that's what I'm saying.
At the start of the race.
The first time it's lights out and away we go because Profi said it 3 times.
3 times. 3 times for one race.
Russell pulls ahead at the beginning and was P1 from the start. And Verstappen and Hamilton were wheel to wheel. It was close. Verstappen was immediately complaining on the radio that Verstappen pushed him. He did not push him.
He did not push him. Even the commentators are like, he didn't push him off the track. Like,
no, and I feel like Verstappen just said it for like laughs because of the 2021 season.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I mean, obviously the race was very chaotic, but it was a very good start in terms of you had Russell. It was a combination of Verstappen's poor start. Russell had a pretty good start. He jumps out ahead, and then you had battle of F1 past with Lewis and Max going at it, and it was like
they did that.
This is cool. Like, yeah, I was like, this is nice. And then you have them going wheel to wheel for the turn, and you see Hamilton pull out, and I was like, this is it. Like, I hate to say this, but it was an interesting race because Max was losing.
Yes, no, it's literally the minute he's not in first, it's an interesting race.
Yeah, you're like, oh wow, because part of it also too is is he gonna get back to first? Is it gonna be a weird thing where he doesn't get back to first? But the start with the first start was really cool. We really good, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think it because also people are always saying if they win on merit, it's not like Max's reliability issues come up. So I mean, George Russell had a killer start. He just jumped on him and didn't hold back.
He had a really good start.
George Russell, I tweeted, I think for my personal one, I think I said, George Russell, you have one job, because people were calling for George Russell at Silverstone when he crashed into Carlos Sainz to take him out.
Did you see the radio call between George Russell and what he said about Lewis?
Oh, he was feisty, and it was literally 2 laps in.
Yeah, he was
I think they were telling him to kind of not switch, but they weren't. I think they were just letting them fight, but I think it was that. But they were also telling George Russell to manage the tires. So he got on the radio and he was like, "You're telling me to manage the tires when my own teammate is attacking me. I'm either tell him to push and get past me, or don't tell him to push at all." And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "I kind of like this little Mercedes." It's not infighting, because infighting would be if it continues on and on and on, which I would like to see as well. But yeah, when that happened, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "There's a little tenacity going on. I kind of like it." I think I tweeted, I was like, "Ooh, Russell's feisty on the radio," right? And it was 5 minutes in. Did you see, going back though, talking about Mercedes? I don't know how they interviewed together after quali, but it was Carlos Sainz and Fernando Alonso. They did their post quali interview together on Sky Sports, just standing in the media pen, and they both had comments about Mercedes, and they're clearly their car has more pace than basically kind of digging at Hamilton, how he just keeps complaining, but then they were so good at during
Oh, so
qualifying and like that he's just like making excuses.
I
Like,
did not see that, but I
yeah.
like that. That's
Both of them.
good.
Carlos Sainz, both of the Spaniards were going after Mercedes, but
Ooh.
yeah.
I mean,
also,
yeah, if
we
you're
didn't
gonna-
talk about. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go.
If you're gonna sit there and complain for 3 weeks, or weeks that, our Carlos doesn't have the pace, blah blah blah, all this stuff, and then you guys are clearly
It
getting
does.
the pace because you got Russell starting in second, on the front row, and then obviously he jumps out to the lead, and your car has the pace to hold Max Verstappen off until the red flag happens. Like, what is it really?
What's going on? Yeah. What's going on?
What is it really?
No, we didn't mention anything from quali, but it was the whole thing with Ferrari and their communication skills. Someone needs to teach them how to communicate better.
They need to go
Figure
back
out
to
what's going on
first grade.
between them. I wish in that video in the media pen, Carlos comes up to Charles. You can't see Charles speaking, but you clear as day read Carlos Sainz's eyes. And at one point, he definitely says, Charles, like in disbelief. People thought at first they were like fighting, but then I think that Charles was telling Carlos that he was told something completely different. And then Carlos realized, and then they both, because there was that interview I showed you of Charles Leclerc in French.
Yeah.
Sassy as ever. And then
Yeah.
that one happened. And then he had his next interview and his tone totally changed. Like,
I did, when we had talked about this, off, not recording, but I completely agree with what we were saying of they were being told different things over the radio. And obviously they can't talk to each other, during the race. So it's they're just going off of what they know. And what Charles knew was that Carlos was supposed to give him a tow.
And they both weren't supposed to get a push lap, a preparation lap.
Carlos didn't give him a tow. And it's
No.
So they're just thinking what the hell, man? Why didn't you give that to me? And yeah, I don't know how Ferrari hasn't figured it out yet. Because it's not it's oh, we're having an off day. Obviously, no, there's these communication issues. There's communications issues at Jeddah where, Xavi was telling Charles information way too late,
Charles was like, yeah, thanks, I know.
Yeah, he's like, that happened 10 seconds ago, but sure.
Try again.
Yeah, they really got to figure their shit out.
Figure it out. But yes, okay. So going back to the chaos, obviously 3 red flags. I think I saw somewhere it's the only time there's ever been 3 red flags.
3 red flags.
Multiple safety, more than a few safety cars. There was an extra safety car before the first red flag for Leclerc.
Yes, there was a safety car when Leclerc crashed.
Yes.
Safety car when obviously didn't turn into a red flag, and then
obviously the first red flag is when Alex Albon goes off in lap 8. I was just as upset about him going off as Leclerc because he was killing it.
Yeah, he was doing really good.
So good. Killing it all weekend. He gained those purple sectors right back after someone would take it during qualifying. So I was upset about him, but that's what started the red flag, literally for gravel on the
which
track.
At first too, I was like, wow, they're really doing a red flag. He's away from the track. It's not like it's a major crash. There's there
was a lot of gravel though.
Split car on the track or anything. But you hear, I think Crofty said it. He was like, oh, they're calling it for the gravel on the track. And then they show the replay, and if you see how much flies out onto the track, and I was like, yeah, that could cause an issue. And his
impact was pretty. I'm shocked he got out of the car.
Yeah, it was bad. He because you see him oversteer, and then he spins, and the front right of the car slams into the wall, and I was like, ooh. But
that turn got people repeatedly. That's clearly where Leclerc went off, and then I watched to help stay awake, I watched the F2 race before, and they all were going off in that exact same spot.
Oh, so really?
They all kept going into the gravel. And I was like, okay, maybe F2, they've never driven on this track, half of them. They're new. The tires is earlier in the day. The tires are the track's not good, but no, they all kept going off. And then when you watch Leclerc go out, Albon go out, everyone's going into the gravel.
Well, there was... Who was right behind him? Was it Hulkenberg right behind him?
Oh, did you see that the onboard camera?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That you see him because no, Stroll was behind him. because they showed Lance Stroll's camera angle of Albon going off, but there's somebody right behind Stroll. I can't remember who it is.
I think it's Hulkenberg.
He goes through the dust, and you hear all the gravel like hitting him, and I'm like, that's dangerous. Like at the speeds they're going at, that's almost like a bullet. Like, and I was like,
I think Hulkenberg, they played his radio during the race, and he even said that was scary. He was like, that was a lot, because he couldn't even see Alex Albon in the dust. So like he had no clue where he was. But yeah, that was bad. I thought he was gonna be hurt.
At first, the red flag, I was like, why are they calling a red flag for this? And then when they started showing these replays and everything, and I was like, this makes sense, actually. I was like, that makes sense. But
poor George Russell, poor Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, Russell's the one that got screwed on it.
Carlos did too, but they pitted during the safety car.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, they drive a few laps on those tires.
Yep. And
then they get the red flag. And you hear, they played Carlos's radio, and he's like cursing and just like saying, no.
Yeah. Like, well, you hear they play a radio between Toto and Russell too. And Toto says, like right there, he's like, I'm sorry, that screwed us. Like,
yeah, that screwed us, yeah.
So he was like, let's just try to make the best of it though. But yeah, they got screwed because obviously it went from the safety car to the red flag. But
yeah, Russell went from 1st to 7th. Which that's not just like 1st to 3rd.
No, that's so hard to like come back up.
Yeah, and then that gave us the second standing restart. Which one I'm trying to say? Oh, I have it wrong. But the second standing restart, I don't think that start was crazy. I think that was pretty normal.
No, nothing really happened there. It was, a standing start. You have the group all together when they're going into the first turn, but nothing really happened. I think this is where, like, in the recap, they showed the start, they showed like the first turn,
and then they fast forward,
and then it jumped to like lap 42 or something like that, and we were on like lap like 20 or something. I was like, all right, so nothing clearly happened.
No, literally that's why I said that break after the first standing start, and then when the craziness happened later on, it was that chunk of time. It was literally boring. Like Max was, I don't know how fast, I can't understand how fast Red Bull is. Max literally was 3 seconds ahead, like a lap in after the standing start. Like he overtook, so it was Hamilton and Verstappen.
Yeah.
After this first standing restart. So obviously it didn't last long, Hamilton in front, and then Verstappen overtook Hamilton easily. But then next thing you know, he's 3 seconds ahead.
Yeah.
And then
it's just
he's like 10 seconds ahead, but then he did mess himself up because I don't know if they showed this. I don't know when he hit the bird. I was saying this right before we started. Apparently he hit a bird and his front wing got like off down. But
they didn't show this in the recap.
No, I don't even know. All I saw was on Twitter, but apparently they said it, but I have no memory of them saying that on the
let's see if
he almost hit the bird during
trending.
He almost hit the bird during qualifying.
There's no like hashtag bird or anything, but
just type Max Verstappen bird or Verstappen bird.
I wouldn't be shocked if it pops up. Max Verstappen
bird.
It's the third option.
Yeah,
it's the third thing.
Yeah, but you might see the clip from qualifying where he dodges the bird.
Yeah, there's a Sky Sports one that says he goes, "Yep, almost hit a bird."
Mm-hmm.
Why is there ever a bird on the track?
It's wildlife. They're in a park, Owen. It's like when they're in Montreal and like the beavers cross the road.
You would think that they would be like scared.
Right, the cars are so loud you would think they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, then apparently I think later on, right before the craziness, the gap did close between Hamilton and Verstappen because Verstappen went off in the grass a little bit.
Oh, yes. I saw that. And then came back
on, and all of a sudden the gap was a lot smaller. But then the rest of it happened.
He locked up going into the turn.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly which turn, but.
Yeah, and he says, well, he gets on the radio right after, and he's like, I've been locking up into that turn this entire time. Like,
and that was the problem Checo was having with his brakes. They clearly have brake issues.
Yeah.
Red Bull.
That's what I really wonder if like the whole like reliability concerns are going to come into play later on in the year.
Because I feel like they're pushing their cars too much. Even though they're turning the power down. I feel like they're pushing their cars
very
too
well
much
might be, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward as other people are making changes and upgrades. But yeah, so then obviously the first red flag and safety car messed up so many people. Second standing start was boring. And then second red flag was around lap 55 for Kevin Magnussen. I can't remember which wheel it was, but it's literally all of a sudden his wheel was just off.
It was his back right wheel.
Yes, okay. And it was off.
It was off. I thought that it had like popped. Like you know the scene.
Oh, yeah.
You know the scene from Cars where he skips the pit stop and he starts going around for the last lap of the race and all his wheels will start popping because they're so torn. I was waiting for that to happen, and then you see him take the turn just a little too wide, and he bumps into the wall, and his tire just goes whoop, and it's just like in the air, and it was like, oh, all right. And there was somebody behind him. It was Joe. You see the slow-mo shot of the wheel coming down right in front of like Joe. I say like right in front. It was probably like 30, 50.
Yeah, but at the speed they're going.
Exactly, the speeds they're going. That's a second. So it's like he quickly like jumps to the side or something, and then Lewis got on the radio. I think at that point it was like there's so much debris out here, like there was just like stuff all over the track.
So yeah,
I can't remember if that was from Albin or if that was from K-Mag hitting the wall, but yeah,
the last one,
or the last one, yeah. The tire popping off though was like comical.
Yeah,
because it's like,
and it's Haas because like literally they even tweeted, they said, "Why is it always here?"
Yeah, it's always Haas, but like, and the thing is, like, he doesn't. It looks like he doesn't hit the wall that hard. Like,
no,
he just like bumps into it, and the wheel just shoots off. Like, and it's like it's hilarious. Like,
I don't think I ever realized how. I didn't realize how narrow parts of that circuit were.
I didn't realize that either. Yeah.
Like the turns and stuff, that they're pretty open, but like where K-Mag crashed, he couldn't pull off like Leclerc and stuff like and George Russell did because we didn't talk about George Russell. And his car just blowing up and bursting in the
flames. My god, yeah.
Okay, wait, we'll go back to that. But
a flamethrower. Yeah.
Because he's out at this point of the second red flag. Like Leclerc and Russell were able to pull off safely. K-Mag couldn't because it was so. I don't think it would have been unless there was because of debris. I don't think it would have been a second red flag if he was able to pull off in another spot. But he couldn't. He couldn't pull off. But yes, okay. Backtrack. I can't believe I missed it. This is what happens when I take notes at 4 a.m. George Russell's car just all of a sudden Nick Crofty was like, there's a Mercedes on fire.
Yeah, I was cracking up because I was like, why is the car shooting flames? And it's like, I know that is like, that can happen sometimes, but then you see they show the back of his car, like there's a camera angle on the back of his car, and you can see like the engine, like a little bit deeper into the car, just bursting into flames. And I was like, oh, he's got to get out of that car real fast. Like, it
was like Carlos last season when like his brakes or something on his car burst into flames, and he was like having trouble getting out, and his car was a fireball. No, George Russell's literally was like a flamethrower.
It was a flamethrower, just shooting out the back of the car, and I was like, "What is happening?"
And
also like you see him like get out and everything,
and he's like waving people on.
Yeah, I crack up because like if we can see the flames, so can they. Like the workers, the safety crew there.
And he was right after the pit lane. They're literally right there. Like literally everyone's right there. It was not far after the pit lane.
And he's like waving them to come down. Like, yes, you need to come down here, like to get the flames put out and everything. And I was like, hurry up. The man's car might explode. Like,
could you imagine? Did you see the video that someone tweeted? There was a lot of different races this weekend in Australia besides like F2 and stuff and F1. It was the supercars or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And one of them burst into flames in the pit lane. Someone tweeted, they're like, what's happening in Australia? And it literally is like a black smoke. Like this car literally burst it was coming down the pit lane to go into the pit and it was on fire. But I think as it got closer, it literally burst into flames. It looked bad.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
But you mentioned cars. I was going to send you this TikTok, but you don't have TikTok anymore. So I didn't message it to you. It was, I'll have to go back and find it. It was, I know. It was in French because it was with Esteban Ocon, and he's talking about that scene in Cars when he.
Oh my god! Yes, I saw this.
And Esteban, he goes, "This is literally the perfect recreation of what happens in real life. He goes, because you're trying to manage the tires and then you can't. So they literally feel like that at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that clip actually. I think I saw it on Twitter or something. And I was like, oh, that's a nice little comparison.
Yeah.
But that's probably why the scene's on my mind, honestly.
True, probably. I mean, I feel like I think of cars a lot recently when being an F1 fan. I don't know why, but because something came up. That scene came up with Michael Schumacher at the end of Cars 1.
Yes.
Like, obviously, we weren't F1 fans, but we knew who Michael Schumacher was because he was a Ferrari driver because Luigi was in love. But then there was another one because, like, I think Sebastian Vettel's in. There's a bunch of them that are in the second one, but we probably get Lewis Hamilton on, like, the beach or something.
Yeah, I think we do get Hamilton.
And he's in the third, I think, also. I feel like I looked it up before.
He's definitely in the third. I'm picturing this now because they did the clip that I saw showed them all recording in different languages.
Yes.
And the yellow car in the third, I can't remember her name, she like radios Lewis Hamilton. And he has like a throwaway, just like Hamilton here. And like Lightning McQueen's like, you know, like who's that? But like there are other clips of them recording like different languages for it and everything.
You have Sebastian Vettel doing too, because I think he did Italian because I think that's when he was with Ferrari, and then his native tongue, which I'm totally drawing a blank on, German, and then I think you have Fernando Alonso doing Spanish. Yeah, I was like, oh, I never realized that many people were in cars.
It's a nice little touch.
Yeah, well, that's like the Lightyear movie, the Spanish version and Italian version. The Italian version has Leclerc, and the Spanish version has Sainz from last year.
Oh, really?
So, like, Pixar's did it again. Yeah, they go back and use them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, where's
I think I saw.
Lightyear?
We don't obviously get that version, but it's when two like guards come to his door, and it's like a guy and a girl, and they're the guy guard.
Oh.
If you go back and watch the clips, it's so funny because like if you know their voices, you're like, yeah, that's Carlos Sainz.
that's Carlos Sainz, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I know. It's clear as day. Yeah, I'll have to find
I'm gonna watch these versions now of the movie.
They also did. I think they had. It was last year. Then Lightyear was on the car at one point for Ferrari during a few races, but yeah. But moving on, we just sidetracked it a lot.
Yeah, we did.
So the third red flag, which might be the craziest of them all, you can't write it any better. Lap 57 out of 58 goes off. So after the standing restart, the third standing restart for the second red flag because of K-Mag, right away, Carlos Sainz initiates contact with Fernando Alonso, and it's just a chain reaction after that. Fernando Alonso spins. He hits Lance Stroll. Yep. They both, I don't think they got a lot of damage, but they both go off. And then I don't know how the Alpines hit each other, but the Alpines took each other out. Like they had legit damage.
I was one of the same things. So Gasly was ahead, just didn't know that Esteban was right behind him and moved to the right and just collided with him. Yeah. And then they both just went right into the wall. And knocked each other out, unfortunately. But
so apparently when Carlos hits Alonso hits Stroll then takes out Sargent and DeVries.
Yep.
Which that went over my head until after I tweeted the tweet. So literally that red car, you had Alonso and Stroll came back out at the end.
Alonso definitely, yes. Alonso got back out because I remember there was a clip of him cursing and freaking out into the mic. And he starts pulling back onto the track.
But that race, you took out both Aston Martins, technically, both Alpines, Sargent, and DeVries.
Yep.
So I literally keep saying that no team had a good race, I feel like, except for McLaren. I'm not counting Red Bull because it's Red Bull. But literally, I think McLaren might be the only people that had
They were the only people that really, benefited from it.
I mean, okay. Yeah, because every other team, you have Leclerc, DNF'd, and then obviously, we go on right before the rolling start behind a safety car. They tell Carlos Sainz that he has a 5-second penalty, which I don't think they should have told him until after. His radio was heartbreaking. He was pissed.
He was so mad. Yeah.
And obviously, you can't see their mouths moving, but you can see his eyes when they had the camera on him. He was fuming. I agreed with everything that they were saying. Jensen Button was like, they shouldn't have told him until after.
Yeah. I
And
wonder
it
if they were
doesn't.
trying to avoid the whole thing that happened with Alonso, though. Like, they were like, we played this wrong
think
last
so.
time by waiting too long. Let's just tell him right away. But
Well,
yeah, they probably shouldn't
and
have told him.
Fred Vassar said that, like, the double standard is real there because clearly Alonso was able to protest it and get a win. That's when Carlos was like, "No, they need to talk to me first."
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Absolutely not." So yeah, I'm gonna go through the teams. So you have Ferrari, DNF, and then Carlos Sainz drops all the way down to 12th. No
Yep.
points for Ferrari.
No points.
Disappointing weekend. Mercedes, George Russell's car was a flamethrower, and
Yep.
then obviously Hamilton on podium, which was nice for him. Red Bull, they didn't have the easiest weekend.
No,
Like-
they did not have the easiest weekend, but obviously outcome Max
Yeah.
wins and
They have-
Checo's in points, so
Yeah. Haas, K-Mag was out. Hulkenberg, I was gonna call you. He was in P4. He was so close to that podium. He was so close.
I was
Everyone
so
was
upset.
freaking out, and then they did challenge that ruling, but the FIA didn't. change
FIA
anything.
shut it down, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, clearly they were screwed. And Ted Kravitz, obviously he's in the pit lane, said that he could see Gunther and he was fuming when they said it was going back to those places. Williams, both were out.
Both were out.
Points.
Yep.
Trying to think.
Which are they still the
Alpine?
only team that doesn't have points? Are they the only team that doesn't have points now, Williams?
No. Remember, Alex Albon was in P10 after the first race. He finished.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right.
10th. Alpine's both out.
Mhm.
Alfa Romeo. Oh, they finished in points. They had a good race.
They did nothing. What? This
No.
is the first time. This is the first time we brought them up. Who?
I know, but they did finish in the points.
Bottas
Bottas was first,
11th.
third. Yeah.
and
Joe
Joe
was right ahead.
Guanyu was 9th. Yeah.
Yeah. AlphaTauri, Yuki Tsunoda, which he got screwed too, and he was almost my driver of the day, my personal one, because they came on this during that chunk of the race where nothing was happening, and he was fighting an issue with his car the entire race.
Oh,
Never
really?
retired. That's what they're like. You're questioning Yuki Tsunoda's pace because there was something wrong with the car, but he never had to retire. And before
Wow.
if they kept the places instead of the rolling start and went back, he would have been like 5th.
No.
He was right by Hulkenberg, right behind. But yeah, he ended P11. He's very consistent with that P11.
Yeah, he
which
is.
sucks because he's right outside the points. But yeah, then he had McLaren. Which that was they didn't really struggle. They just both ended in the points. Obviously, I don't think they maybe deserve to be in the points, but Lando Norris,
it's just
he
like
drove
they
pretty
they just like snaked by everything, like
Mhm.
just like worked their way out of all the situations that happened and got points because of it. But
yeah. They also reviewed. That's why I also think like Carlos Sainz, his penalty might have been a little unfair because obviously they spoke to Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, and they reviewed that and there was no penalty there. But
yeah,
so Pierre Gasly was apparently, if he got a penalty, because Carlos Sainz, they gave him 2 or 3 points, like penalty points.
oh yeah,
If Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon got the penalty, Pierre Gasly was in danger of getting like a race ban for the next race because he has so many penalty points from
Holy
last
shit.
season. Yeah.
Wow.
But then that ended up. So that's when Carlos was like, they didn't even talk to me. They didn't even let me talk and explain my side.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so that was reviewed and was fine. The Alpines. And then I heard this on the radio or on the TV. So right as the race was ending after the rolling safety car, like it was the last lap and they were going around before they pulled in to go to their
Mhm.
places. Apparently they were saying right in front of the box for all the commentators and stuff, there was obviously people standing there. All of a sudden they leave and they start heading towards the track so they can get on the track to celebrate. So the entire Australian Grand Prix Corporation was summoned to the stewards over the spectator track invasion at the end of the race. That's just the cherry on top.
You know what's the funny part about that too? At the end of the recap, there's this big helicopter shot of the track, and you see the entire grid is covered with people.
Yeah, with people.
And I didn't think anything of it at that time. I pulled up our notes to start recording. I saw that note right there, and I was like, "Oh, that's what that was." Like, people just ran onto the track.
Too early. Yeah, so they summoned the Australian Grand Prix Corporation to yell at them for
That is fantastic. You're exactly right. That is literally just the cherry on top for an absolutely chaotic and entertaining race.
Yeah, everyone was like, it's going to be boring, but it wasn't boring. It was worth staying up for. I mean, ask me tomorrow or later on when after
when you're
dinner.
falling asleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also did look. All teams have points now.
Okay. I have to update that graphic. I didn't update it yet.
There is not a team that doesn't have a point.
Okay.
So
well, how many does McLaren have?
McLaren has 12.
How many does Ferrari have?
Ferrari has 26.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So it goes Red Bull first with 123, Aston Martin second, 65, Mercedes 56, Ferrari 26, McLaren 12, Alpine 8, Haas 7, Alfa Romeo 6, AlphaTauri, and Williams in that order, both with 1.
Jeez. McLaren went from being awful with nothing to now the middle of the pack, literally.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, something so funny. You probably didn't get this in the race recap. So it was during the last red flag. They were showing, everyone got out of their car, and they were showing Aston Martin. They were wheeling, stuff out to the car. And Fernando Alonso's helping and pushing tires, and they're like, "Oh, look at Fernando!" Or Crofty was like, "Look at Fernando Alonso helping out." Jensen Button needs to be in the commentating box every race. He was like, "Yeah, well, that's what happens when he's happy with the car."
Damn.
Obviously, they were teammates, and maybe when they were teammates, I don't think their car was probably good. So literally, he was like, "Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you're happy and winning and in the points."
That is good.
Yeah. I also saw people tweeting, they're like, Sebastian Vettel's probably watching this race right now.
I'm sure he watches all the races.
Yeah. Did you see the last red flag? They showed Russell was talking to Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh no.
And then they were talking because Russell was dressed and changed.
Yeah.
And then they show Russell. He's literally standing there. People are like, George Russell, act a little more in secret. He's literally just staring at the Red Bull car. And that's when I was like, I saw interviews with Leclerc that he was doing right after and stuff. And then I literally tweeted, I was like, did Leclerc leave? Because they were showing every driver that DNF'd out and talking to they never went to Ferrari. I was like, ooh, he must be.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if he went into his locker room or something, whatever it is, and
yeah. I mean, his
want to
interviews,
deal with anybody.
His interviews were pretty depressing. But yeah, I thought that it was obviously George Russell, he gives memes every weekend, but that one was even better because he's just literally standing there with sunglasses on, looking British as ever, and he's just
staring at the Red Bull.
You're act a little more in secret.
Yeah.
Don't just say it right, come right out with it. But yeah.
Maybe you look like you actually enjoy our car.
Yeah. But yeah, so what's I gonna say?
Absolutely chaotic.
One for the ages.
One for the ages, but a fun race to watch. Fun race to watch. Maybe if I have 3 hours of time to kill, I'll watch the full thing. But
I was gonna say, maybe if I have time this week. Well, you're not gonna want to watch anything next weekend with Goff, but maybe
no, Masters week. Masters week.
Yeah, it's if I have time, I think I need to go back and watch Fully Awake so I can comprehend exactly what happened.
See what's happening.
But moving on. I'm very excited for this. I thought
this is gonna be a good segment.
I should have linked the Reddit thread. You might be able to find it if you search real fast. Just type in NHL or NFL F1 team Reddit. Someone made the post. So as Owen's pulling it up, some wonderful human made this graphic, which I'm going to do after, comparing each F1 team to a specific NFL team. And he specifically says, hey, Americans, if you're looking to get into F1, here's how they would be if they were football teams to help you, relate to them. So obviously we're from Philadelphia, so we're Eagles fans. So what hurt the most is being a Ferrari fan, seeing that person compared Ferrari to Dallas Cowboys. I was a little hurt by that,
That's
but it
tough.
makes sense because saying like their fans are like kind of like a cult. They were good for so many years, like back in the day. Same with Cowboys. So I took it into my hands because we are clearly. Well, we're born and raised hockey fans, first and foremost. So I took the teams and compared them to NHL teams, or F1 teams to NHL teams. So I did each team. Some of them were kind of hard because obviously not all F1 teams are in the spotlight all the time or kind of in the background. But so are NHL teams, so makes sense. So first I'll just go right down my list. I started with Mercedes. I compared them to the Pittsburgh Penguins. My reasoning, because Pittsburgh for so long, for like the early 2000s, like the 2010s, the teens, they were so dominant for so long.
Yeah, very dominant.
We just saw yesterday on TV they could miss the playoffs for the first time since Crosby's rookie year. And like Mercedes was dominant for so long, 7 times in a row. And the past 2 years, they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They're not as dominant as they used to be. So then go to Red Bull. Who did Dad say yesterday he thought Red Bull was going to be? Do you remember?
How did you explain Red Bull?
So I compared Red Bull to Tampa Bay Lightning because they're like a powerhouse.
Right.
They won back-to-back. They quote unquote cheat with the IR situation. They bring players back. We know Red Bull's a little sketchy sometimes. So that's how I compared Red Bull to Tampa Bay because they're kind of, and then it's not like Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull's been dominant for a long time and they've been a powerhouse. But I guess Tampa has been too. But in recent years, Tampa's kind of exploded.
Tampa's they always were a team. Tampa Bay that like when the Flyers were playing them, I was like, we're probably going to lose this game. But yes, in recent years, it's been like, oh, Tampa Bay. Like, Tampa Bay can beat anybody. Like, they're really good.
I took Ferrari and I related them to the Maple Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs, because they have all the potential and they can't deliver. Maple Leafs never make it out. Yeah, Maple Leafs never make it out of the first round of the playoffs. Ferrari just can't even finish the race. So they have all the potential in the world.
That's perfect.
Maple Leafs are stacked.
That is a great comparison.
Yeah, I mean, Maple Leafs, you have generational talent. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. Ferrari, you have Charles Leclerc. Like, literally. That one was easy. That one was my first one right away. Them and Mercedes.
All the right pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
To put it together and make it work, and you just can't do it.
Like Maple Leafs, they fired Mike Babcock. Was that their coach before? And he was a little controversial. No one really liked him. Then you had Mattia Bonato. No one really liked him.
No one really liked him.
It was too. Yeah, that one fit too well. For Aston Martin,
that's good.
Yeah, Aston Martin. I have 2 teams for them. Because if I'm going off of this year, how they've come out of nowhere.
Oh, I know you. I think I know your one.
So I have them compared to the Carolina Hurricanes and Colorado Avalanche because, like,
not who I thought you were going to say.
Oh, who'd you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say the Bruins. Just because they're both like the ones this year. Like, I mean, I know Red Bull is like the one this year for F1, but like Aston Martin obviously is a very big competitor. But okay, all right. What's the reasoning?
So I said because I feel like in recent years, well, both obviously you have Colorado, who's the most recent Stanley Cup champ, and they've been building up to it. So like they've been getting there. They have the talent. I think Lance Stroll is pretty good. He just didn't have a good car for a very long time. And then bringing in like Fernando Alonso, you have like that veteran presence, and I feel like the Avs had like I'm drawing on names, but I feel like they had a good mix of younger and older. But yeah, last year I feel like they came out of nowhere and just obviously won it all. And then Carolina, same thing. They're kind of, I feel like they lie under the radar and they just are explosive every once, or not every once in a while, frequently.
They're explosive in the playoffs. I feel like is when Carolina always like steps kind of into the limelight. Is like
Yeah.
they are like they kind of skate by, no pun intended, for the whole season, and in the playoffs, it's like, oh, I was like, Carolina is a big competitor. Like, but
Yeah.
all right, I like that. That's good for good for Aston Martin.
Yeah. I'm gonna do Flyers last because obviously that's our. Even though they suck.
I think I know.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah. Yeah.
But so I feel like this one doesn't make sense now that I'm looking at it. I had Williams as the Oilers. Kind of because like they're just like there, even though like Alex Albon is good. He was on Red Bull. He just didn't succeed. You have Connor McDavid. I feel like if he moved to like a team with kind of like Claude Giroux, if he moved to a team with legit talent, he could be amazing. I mean, he already is amazing, but like
I was gonna say he already is like
yeah, he's
the
amazing.
Guy. Like he's.
This one I'm not really happy with now I'm looking at.
But like, here's my thing: is like, at least in my experience, when you see the Oilers in the headlines, it's because of Connor McDavid. It's like,
yeah,
look at Connor McDavid doing this insane play, and it's like, yes, the Oilers are winning games, but again, because of Connor McDavid. So it's like, yes, Williams doesn't really have like that guy. Like, it's not like Albin's like an all-star driver that, people just know that once he's in the right car, he's going to do crazy good things. But like, they're kind of just there. And it's like, it feels like the Oilers organization is just.
Oh, I remember my real reason now. Go ahead.
It feels like the Oilers organization is just there with Connor McDavid. Like, it's just like, here's Connor McDavid, and then here's the rest of our team, but we don't care about them. We only care about Connor McDavid, but they're over here. So it's like, why? Like, I can see that.
So it just came back to me. Reason? So I should have wrote this down. So when I was looking, I can't remember who they were compared to on the NFL one, but it made sense. So I went back. Like, Williams were so dominant from like in the 80s and 90s. Oilers when they had Gretzky were dominant.
Yeah. Dominant.
So that was my that was my true.
That's good. All right, yeah, that's it. That's a good comparison.
That was my real reason. So for McLaren, I don't think you know this one. You want to take a guess?
Oh wait, what? Okay. All right. So my guess would be the Flyers.
That's not who it is.
Just because they're both so bad.
I thought you were going to say just because they're both orange.
No, it's not that simple of a comparison. McLaren is a dog shit organization right now, and so are the Flyers, as much as it pains me to say that. Flyers are not a good team right now. They're currently in a rebuild process. However, McLaren's not really in like a rebuild though. Like, well, no, they are, because they just
got
a whole bunch of people and everything.
New driver.
Now, all right, so who's McLaren for you now? Because now I'm curious.
I put the Ducks. Specifically because I compared, like, obviously you have Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, who Oscar Piastri has, I think, both of them have the potential to be pretty good. Also, sidetrack, I like how they were talking about Mark Webber with Oscar Piastri, because I forget that Mark Webber is Oscar Piastri's manager.
Yes.
But so they were talking about our history with Owen lesson from
history with Owen segment, yeah. That's specifically what they were talking about.
Yes. So I said McLaren for the Ducks because obviously, like, they're a young team. The Ducks have, like, Trevor Zegras, who's a young superstar. That's who I was comparing them to. Like, they have the potential. If McLaren could just get their shit together, I feel like if the Ducks get their shit together, they would be pretty good.
They're also, like, the Ducks to me is, like, I guess, even more of an organization now, too, where it's, like, they're just kind of there.
Yeah,
like,
they're just kind of there.
And that's the thing.
They're literally there because of Trevor Zegras, I feel like. They're literally there.
And that's the way that McLaren kind of is right now. It's just like, bring back my joke of what I said before. It's just like, hey, guys, like, McLaren's just like, we're here. Don't worry about us, but we're here, So, okay. No, I really like that. I like that comparison.
So the last three, the A teams, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, these were hard. I kind of just picked them because based on I went back to that graphic and see how they compared them to NFL, and so I then thought about it. Alpine, my fun answer was like the Senators or the Habs because they're the French team and it's French Canadians. But I also compared them to the Devils.
Nice simple one.
I said the Devils also for Alpine, especially.
Why
the Devils I think they just made the playoffs. They finally clinched playoff spot, and I feel like Alpine could have some momentum with both Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon as their driver duo. But yeah, these last three were kind of hard. For AlphaTauri, compare them to the Jets or the Coyotes because they're basically just there.
There's a lot of teams that it's just like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
I think of the Jets and the Coyotes when the Flyers play them. That's when I think of them.
Yeah.
You know.
But literally, because Coyotes, I feel like they are like a little brother team. Even though they're an NHL team, they play in a college arena. AlphaTauri is the brother team to Red Bull. So that was, they're just organizations you don't really think about.
That's a good connection. You do the little brother connection between.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And then Alfa Romeo, I said the Blue Jackets. I don't really know why, but I just said the Blue Jackets. Because, again, I feel like they're just kind of there. They could be good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I said the Blue Jackets, but that's why I said the Blue Jackets.
I can see the connection. Yeah. I mean.
But, yeah.
That's hard because it's like Alfa Romeo's not going to do anything like spectacular. They're not going to do anything like bad, though. You know, so it's like. You got to pick like a middle of the road kind of team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could say like you have Valtteri Bottas, who could have probably went anywhere, but he went to Alfa Romeo. You have Johnny Gaudreau, he was supposed to come here, but he went to the Blue Jackets.
I just figured out who your Flyers pick is.
Yes. So obviously that leaves Haas, and that's who I compared the Flyers to.
Haas.
Not because. Well, I feel like Haas for so long is just dysfunctional. Flyers are dysfunctional.
Dysfunctional.
They're kind of a little, not to get political, they're kind of a little controversial with Haas and having Nikita Mazepin. Flyers has some questionable players on their teams.
Yeah.
So that's, I feel like also Haas has potential, but they just can't really deliver. Flyers are supposed to be amazing every year at the beginning and the offseason, and then it just go.
Haas, too. First of all, yes, I 100% agree with the comparison. The one thing that I'm thinking of too is like Haas will always pull out like a random like shining moment, and it's
like Kevin Magnuson on pole, like what? Why?
Exactly, like K-Mag on pole. That's like their shining moment of the year. The Flyers every once in a while will be like, hey, we know we just lost 15 in a row, but here's our 10 win in a row, like.
Literally, they're supposed to be tanking so they can get the first pick overall. What are they doing? Winning 9 in a row.
Yeah, and it's like, why all of a sudden is it like, hey, we know we've been a shitty team all year. Here's our big winning moment, or here's our big playoff push in the Flyer. Like that's what they always do. They go so bad throughout the year, and then it's like all of a sudden they wake up in the locker room and it's like, oh boy, like we got to play. We can make playoffs if we push for 20 games straight, and it's like. Okay, so then they push for 20 games straight and they win like 18 out of 20 games, and it's like, all right, like,
yeah.
I also
felt like Gunther and John Tortorella, they both just speak their mind. They don't care what anyone else thinks. Like you have how critical he was of Mick Schumacher last year. John Tortorella is benching Kevin Hayes because
John Tortorella is not afraid to criticize or bench his teammates.
No.
Yeah,
he's benching him because he went to the All-Star game. You have John Tortorella literally. I think someone asked him about Wade Allison, and he's like, I don't know, he's always injured. Like,
yeah, him and Gunther are definitely not afraid to
they
like
would get along.
They probably would get along, honestly.
Yeah,
I wonder if John Tortorella is an F1 fan.
I don't know. Did you see? I sent it to Mom, or I sent it to the family group chat. Flyers had the Travis Sanheim, Travis Konecny do that like guessing game, back and forth, like the word association, but they couldn't say certain words, and they like ran out of Flyers related topics. So Travis Konecny had Ferrari, and he was like the F1 team, and Sanheim's like what? And I was like Travis Konecny, a Ferrari fan. I was like, I didn't have that on my bingo card.
I like that though. That's good.
Yeah. I was like, wow, my worlds are colliding. But yeah, that's So yeah, Mercedes, Pittsburgh, Red Bull, Tampa, Ferrari, Maple Leafs, Aston Martin, Hurricanes or Avs, Williams, Oilers, Haas, Flyers, McLaren Ducks, Alpine Devils or Senators, AlphaTauri, Jets, Coyotes, and Alfa Romeo, Blue Jackets. That's my
Perfect.
yeah.
No, that's good. I really like that list. That makes a lot of sense to me. And
yeah. I don't. What?
Love the Haas Flyers connection. That's great.
Yeah, I figured it fit. I could have went with McLaren, but like I felt like I was like Haas is just never goes right. I was like Flyers, it never goes right. So that's
no, but even with. like when I was going, like what I was saying about the McLaren, like how they're both like bad organizations. Like I thought I was pretty on the nose with that, but like no, the Haas one is completely on the nose for the Flyers. Like absolutely, just right on the money in terms of the coach and the team principal comparison, and then like we talked about like their random shining moments where they like pump out excellency, and you're like, where was this all year? Like
you have it'll be like with Hulkenberg almost ending in P4, but then like in 3 weeks they'll both crash out in turn 1. Like
they'll both be like knocked out of the race. And then there'll be a whole episode in Drive to Survive about how Haas is looking better, and Gunther wants to go for it this year, and it's the same shit as always.
And then it's downfall. Oh, I did tweet last night. I said Netflix. I didn't tag Netflix. I was just like, at Netflix, please give us a whole episode just on the Australian Grand Prix. I was like, please, just give a whole episode.
I wouldn't be shocked because there's so many storylines in this one race that they could do. But Haas.
Yeah. But
Whoa, that's new.
Whoa.
What was that?
I didn't hit the ticker, so it just came up as like the banner.
That was cool. I kind of like that.
So obviously we don't have races until the end of April, beginning of May, which is Baku. Which we have 3 weeks to think of some content, but I think we'll be fine. We'll have another history lesson with Owen.
More history with Owen.
I also think we can talk about, apparently, as we get closer to Baku, the new format that's going to be in place for Baku. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did see interesting. A little bit of it. I have to fully read into it, though.
Well, I think long story short is qualify. It'd be one practice, qualifying for the sprint race, qualifying for the race, the sprint race, and then the race. Yeah, it's weird. I have to go back.
Wait. So practice. Going off of what you just said here, practice, qualifying for the sprint race, qualifying for the race, and then sprint race.
Hold on, pause. I gotta scroll all
then
the way back.
What's the point of the sprint race?
I don't know. Because they want to. Oh my God! Wait. So I tweeted because Alex Albon and Leclerc were starting next to each other. So I tweeted old pictures of them from F2 because apparently they were strict rivals, like battles every weekend during F2. So I tweeted can't wait to see them starting next to each other. So then I retweeted and I said I wasn't trying to jinx them. I was like I didn't mean to. Let me see. I just can't believe there's a full-on month before.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's so brutal.
It's not going to be fun. But like we said, we got next week covered with the Masters. And
Easter.
Oh, we're also doing, Easter weekend. We're also, for anyone who listens to our show and doesn't listen to Underground Sports.
Good plug, Owen.
We're going to be going to the tailgate for the Philadelphia Phillies home opener. It's part of the Underground Sports Ring It series. So they're going to be doing live shows from Philly's tailgate. Casey and I will be there on April 8th. We're going to be rolling around in our F1 baseball jerseys. I have
Philly stuff underneath.
with Philly stuff underneath, of course. I have Max Verstappen jersey. Casey has Charles Leclerc jersey.
Shocker.
So we'll be there. We'll be with the rest of the Underground Sports crew.
It'll be fun.
I think I was listening to Underground Sports recently.
In the Jetro lot, if you're from
in the Jetro lot. Yes, sorry. I was listening to the Underground Sports show, it was either the last episode they talked about it. Yeah, because there was a whole Phillies season preview and everything.
Yeah.
And Kyle had mentioned that we don't have like mics to hold. We have like headsets. So it's like the kind you see like Kruk and them wear, like for the commentators. We're gonna have headset mics. So I was like, that's really cool. But,
that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have that. So keep an eye out for that and everything. We won't be talking F1 topics, but we'll be talking Phillies.
If you want, you can come up and talk to us.
We could probably talk to.
You can come up and talk to us, but
yes, please do. So if you see us, please come up to the table. I don't actually know how it's going to be set up, but if you see the setup, come over, come hang out, say hello, learn about the shows and everything. That's all on the Underground Sports Network. That's my
it's all on their
Underground Sports plug
too.
Yeah.
Going back, I found the tweet. So the new format for Azerbaijan, aka Baku. I'm not saying that. What's the actual country name? Baku's much easier. It's the following. Friday is FP1 and race quali. Saturday is sprint quali and then the sprint race. And then Sunday is the race.
Okay, so the race quali and the sprint quali and the sprint itself are two different things. They're literally just throwing a mini race into the weekend.
Yeah, so you have obviously normal FP1 on Friday morning. A little bit later, you have the race qualifying. So you have one practice on Baku. Charles Leclerc is going to crash into the castle corner like he does every year with one practice.
You have one race practice before you go into the race qualifying?
Qualifying, yes. And then Saturday is the sprint qualifying.
I don't know how I feel about that.
And then the sprint race. And then Sunday is the race.
I feel like it should be the other way around.
I know. But yeah,
I feel like it should be the practice, then the sprint qualifying, then you do the sprint, and then you do race qualifying that night, and then race the next day.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not the FIA, so I don't make those decisions.
They had team meetings, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be voted for. And I feel like it's going to be a mess. The first race after 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, and then be a new 3 weeks off with a brand new format. Yeah.
Yeah.
That does not bode well at all.
Chaos. We should be in for. I do love the Baku Straight though. That's so long. They just fly down that thing.
Oh,
Red Bull is going to be a legit rocket. They're going to take off.
They go all out. I would love to see like what top speed is from that.
Oh yeah. Wait, I want to see.
Especially if like perfect situation right here. You're going down that straight. Checo's in third, and he's in DRS. Is that a DRS? That's got to be a DRS zone.
It has to be a DRS zone.
Yeah. So he's like less than a second behind somebody, so you can open up the DRS and just fly down that straight. That would be perfect.
So the DRS zone is actually technically at turn 20, but turn 20 is like a bend. There's only 2 DRS zones, but there is a speed trap in the straight. So
there is a speed trap. Yeah, I'm looking at the map now too, actually.
But yeah, what's the time? Ooh, love it. It's an early one. Practice 1 will be 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. Quali's 9 to 10 a.m.
That's good.
So, practice 2 is 5:30 6:30 a.m. Well, this is still the old. They didn't update this yet, but there is a sprint. There is a sprint race for real. Like regardless, there's a sprint race, and that's on the 29th from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. And then the race is 7 a.m. We're officially into the. But we got Miami coming up. We can enjoy a afternoon race. But
yeah.
Anything else to add?
No. Come see us next Saturday. That's all I really.
We'll be there. I hope it's nice weather. I hope the Phillies win a game.
Me too. They play against as always today, actually.
Yeah, they're on. I think they're on national TV again because Trey Turner's gonna be mic'd up, so they'll be talking to him during the game.
Wonderful! Can't wait to get embarrassed on national TV.
Well, on that note, thank you for listening today to the F1 Underground podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Underground F1 and on Twitter at Underground_F1. That is a tongue twister every time. I mess it up regardless. Again, as always, thank you to Kyle and the guys over at Underground Sports Philadelphia for helping us make the show happen, for giving us the airways to talk about F1, so our mom and dad don't get sick of it.
Yeah.
And go give that show a follow. Please bear with us. We have to pose for the YouTube thumbnail, and then we will log off. I never know. I was going to show off
Show off your new shirt.
I know, but I feel like I should also be sad.
Oh, it's fine.
Go like this.
I did mine.
Did you
so
pose?
There you go, Kyle. Yeah, I posed for like a couple seconds.
And I did mine. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you
Peace out.
next week.